Well, peace and blessings, everybody. I am super excited to welcome you to our very first networking session of the year, Real Estate as a Business Strategy. We're really glad that you're here. I'm Taya Bolton, and I'm the director of Leaks Global Wealth Exchange. The Global Wealth Exchange is a brainchild of Commissioner Bill Malik here in Mecklenburg County in Charlotte, North Carolina. She is adamant about making sure that those who look like us have equal access to contracts and opportunities and a seat at the table. The Global Wealth Exchange, affectionately called Global We sometimes, consists of business owners dedicated to wealth building, mindset shifting, and upward mobility, not just locally, but on a global scale. Our aim is to educate, equip, and empower business with the resources needed to grow and understand how to do business in other countries. In addition to my role here with the Global Wealth Exchange, I have over 20 years of experience in international business management, event production, and community engagement for the small business community, not for profits, as well as government agencies. As a serialpreneur, my primary brands are Exceptional Business Solutions and Divinity Affairs. We're excited about our upcoming programming and events. And if you have recommendations of future speakers or resources, you can send them to me at Tya, at divinityaffairs.com. You can also message us on the fan page, Leaks Global We. To engage with us during today's session, we invite you to send your likes, loves, and comments via the Facebook thread. Our beloved Alicia Brooks is there monitoring that conversation. We'll answer questions as time permits. Now, let me do a brief introduction of our marvelous speakers today who are also members of the Global We team and very dear friends of mine. Vanessa Stewart Jefferson, PhD, affectionately known as Dr. V, the development diva, is a respected leader in both the business and the nonprofit world. Dr. V is an NC board recognized industrial organizational psychologist with a multicultural background and international experience that spans 5 continents and the Caribbean. In her consultancy and advocacy, she leverages 20 years of professional experience in education and business strategy, real estate investment, and human behavior to enhance effectiveness, strengthen performance, and ignite purpose in C suite leaders, social entrepreneurs, and public servants. Dorian Carter, CCIM, is president of On Point Partners, a commercial real estate investment advisory and consulting firm. Dorian is a developer, investor, consultant, and coach in commercial real estate. His experience spans 15 years with experience in mixed use, retail, industrial, land development, and affordable housing. Dorian has an actively role in over 2 million square feet and $50 million in real estate transactions. His goals to affect change in underserved communities by empowering and educating individuals on wealth building, strategies and redevelopment initiatives that bring stronger places to live. Dorian is a veteran of the United States Air Force, and he has an extensive corporate background in operations and management. Dr. V. Dorian, let's get started with your amazing presentation.
Thank you so much, Taya. It is so good to be here with everyone today, and especially after such a historical day yesterday. One thing that I will share in the presentation that myself and my brother and colleague Dorian are going to share with you today is in relation to yesterday. There, although this was an extremely historical time for our country, being able to mint and inaugurate the first female in highest office, a vice president, as well as her being able to share her space and leading this country with Joe Biden as our president and commander in chief. The thing that I want everyone to understand, that you'll see in this presentation, is that strategy more than politics is what really matters. There are many things that unfortunately people have focused on to divide us, but our strategy and how we build wealth generationally, how we leverage our businesses to do that, is important for all of us today, tomorrow, and it doesn't matter whether you are of a political affiliation or not. The beauty of this is that this presentation and the things that we can do to move forward is for everyone. So thank you so much again, Taya, for having me. And let's get started. Real estate as business strategy.
MB, we can't see your slide right now. Make sure you're sharing your screen.
All right. All right. Are you all with me now?
Let me check. I know Alicia on the live stream. Can you tell me if you can see the slides, please? Give us 1 second.
Sure.
There we go. Okay. All good.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. So, the first thing that we'll discuss is why real estate is important to every business. There is a, I like to be a myth buster, if you will. There is a belief that business specifically that there I need to focus on, as we hear in the industry, in multiple industries, I need to mind my business. I need to focus on if I am a hairstylist, if I am a educator, uh, if I am in the multifamily industry, what have you. There is a focus at becoming very expert driven in your field. One thing that I would say is that although that is important, being an expert in your field is only one part of your success and business. You see, real estate, regardless as to what your industry is, and you being head of industry, and that's who I'm speaking to today, all of you future heads of industry and those who are leading industry right now in best practice. The thing to note is that real estate impacts every one of us. Specifically, whether you're leasing a space for your business, identifying whether or not there is a customization that is needed in order to welcome clients, future and current clients into your space, or whether or not you are in a business such as manufacturing and the space that you're in is not only a welcoming space to have meetings or schedule events, but that space can very well be vital if it is a manufacturing plant, for example, to be able to house where your goods are prepared, built, and then shipped in order to be sold. So, in every aspect, in every form of business, real estate is very important. So, the three things that I would want you to think about when it comes to every business is number one, long term wealth building. When we have a focus not only on the expertise of our business, but specifically keeping our hand on the pulse of what our real estate needs would be, our property ownership needs would be, then we have now put ourselves in the driver's seat for long term wealth building. How is that the case? You see, when I am looking for a space for my consultancy, I am looking for a place that I'm able to not only host events or workshops such as this, but I'm also looking for a place that is going to add value to my business. So that place has the ability, I own it in my business name, then I have the ability to now carry that as an asset for my business. So I am not only the asset, and my human capital, my team is not only an asset to my business, but owning real estate or owning the space that I am operating out of, that also has the ability to build wealth for my business automatically. It's not just your billable hours, it's also everything that you have in your space, including the space, owning over everything, is an asset to your business. The other is collateral for loans. I have heard in my consultancy over the years, going to business meetings, that one of our major issues that small businesses specifically, and I would even say even more specifically, oftentimes you hear it for minority small businesses, is access to capital. That is heard very, very often as being the number one, if not definitely within the top three of the issues that businesses face as far as how they scale and how they move forward. So, collateral for loans, I go into a bank, I go into to speak with the lender, and I'm talking with that lender, and I am extremely excited about my business model and all of the services that I provide, the businesses that I partner with, how many clients I have, the amount of revenue that I may be bringing in every month. But yet, I still may be a few steps away from getting the total operational loan that I would want in order to take my business to the next level. How is that I can use real estate in order to change that narrative? Very easily. If I own a business that just sitting in my living room, that business is able to make approximately $50,000 to $60,000 a year. That is an asset, and I don't have many expenses. However, if I were to own property that was worth not how much it costs, but what it was worth, if that property was worth $250,000, then automatically I am now, with limited expenses and overhead, I am now able to take that along with all of the revenue that I'm generating for my consultancy. I'm able to take that and add that to the value of my portfolio when I sit down with lenders regarding loans. And if that particular property is worth $250,000 and that property was a smart search and acquired for a fraction of that value, then I am even less of a risk to future lenders who are looking at how it is that you spend and utilize your money. They want to identify how it is that you're going to utilize their money. So, seeing that you are smart with your money, lowering your overhead costs, if I don't have to lease from someone else and I own my own space and I'm able to get my space at an affordable rate, which my colleague Dorian will show you different avenues and how you can attain the money to purchase your own property at minimal cost, then automatically I not only am able to share with that business owner, excuse me, with that lender, how good I am in that consultant role or in my business specifically, but also how I've been able to leverage and maximize my assets, such as my real estate. Also, stabilizing operations. Now, I would say what we're going to hear in coming years, and definitely because of the pandemic, we're going to hear a lot about stabilizing operations. There has been a major need in the business community. Specifically, we have heard that almost over 40 percent of small businesses have closed down, specifically minority businesses have closed their doors since the beginning of the pandemic. Obviously, that creates an instability that is not only for that single business, but all of the businesses that are connected to that business. All of those merchandisers and all of those colleagues or clients that they served are now having to face a void. So that destabilizes whole microeconomies for those who are in communities such as Charlotte Mecklenburg and many other communities across the country are experiencing the same thing. How is it that we can use real estate in order to stabilize operations? Well, I'll tell you. When we are in a situation where we have a automatic, organic downsize of our client base because our business now has to pivot. My business specifically is many times a frontward facing, in person type of offering. So, of course, with that being limited by government mandates, I now have to figure out how it is that I can pivot my business. If I was someone who was paying a lease to sit in a space, that cost is still on my books, even if it's not being utilized. That is going to create an instability for my cash flow as far as my business is concerned. However, that piece of property that I purchased, it may be a building, it also may be a piece of land that is a lot, for example. I encourage my clients to think outside the box, not only looking to identify a commercial space potentially, but even in an instance where, for example, I owned a piece of raw land. I may be able to take the pivot of where I need to go in order to stabilize my operations. I may be able to take that piece of land and provide a service opportunity and a need for other struggling businesses that are in the community. Specifically, I'll give you an example. There is a client and colleague that I have who had a mechanic service, and they actually were attempting to figure out how it is that now, with people not driving as often, what it is that they need to do in order to pivot their business to be able to still generate income for themselves, their business, and specifically, of course, their families. So they had a raw piece of land. They were able to get that piece of land paved and then use that land in order to, they were already certified as a minority owned business. So they were able to provide that stretch of land to house trucks, vans that did not have the space at their own locations to be able to use that, to utilize that. They didn't have a space of their own. And they were able to provide that opportunity for those other businesses, strengthening the economy in doing so, as well as give them time to pivot their business, moving to another stream of income to stabilize what it is that they had going on. Now, how to use land acquisition as a part of a pandemic proof business strategy. I gave you just a few tidbits, but digging a little bit deeper, when you have income for your business, as that particular client did have, now that client was able to rent out space. They had about approximately 15 spaces that were able to be utilized very quickly. They were able to share that space with as an opportunity for the city and the county to potentially partner, because now we have trucks that are needing to go out and travel to different places. When you have a particular business that may have, and just catch the tidbits as I'm sharing them, when they're certified in and being an SBE or an MBE business, which is an SBE is a small business enterprise or a minority business enterprise, minority owned business enterprise, which are free certifications to attain, but extremely beneficial. They're able to reach out, and now you have the ability to share your services that may not have been known before, but you may have already had a relationship with our city, with our county, with our state. And now you're able to share a different business offering that now can generate income. And that need they identify in those contracts could potentially be contracts that are long term, 1, 2, and 3 years, which absolutely, when you are supplying a vital need to a community and you have a long term contract, it doesn't matter who is in office. What matters is that you have now strengthened the economy and created a partnership opportunity for other businesses in the community as well as for your local government. Therefore, wherever the pandemic goes or grows, you have the ability to provide that, to be a vital resource for your community. Growth and innovation. Many times when people think about growth and innovation, they think about technology. However, technology always has to have a home. You see, whether I am a IBM that has to have a space to operate, or I am a community center, rec center that has to provide space and opportunity for youth that are now out of school who may have to go to school remotely. If I am an owner of a space within my community, I may be able to take a lot that I own, clear that lot, maybe be able to have a grant opportunity, because at this time many government entities and agencies have been partnering with small businesses as well as community leaders to find out what they can do with the monies and the government budget that has already been allocated in order to meet the needs and meet our community where we are. What if I provided an opportunity to say, hey, is it possible that because of the fact that we now have to have, uh, we have an issue with our schools having to close? Um, I may be a passionate educator that has a lot of land and have the ability to clear that land and provide, partner with other technological uh, entities to provide a school without walls. I've actually heard of that being done where many small businesses have partnered up in certain communities to take drive ins and revitalize the drive in concept in order to provide school without borders, to have a large screen where they're able to push out curriculum to students and still in the safety of their cars or in lawn chairs, and have received grants in order to do so. These are ways that it can bring the community together, open up the doors of feeling as though many of us have had the anxieties of being quarantined or having to stay indoors, the effects that it has on our children. These type of growth and innovative ideas have the ability to have long ranging implications that are positive for our communities that were not thought about until a pandemic such as COVID-19 took place. In doing so and thinking creatively with land and identifying pieces of land. Now, let me be clear. I am not talking about skyscrapers that may cost millions of dollars. I'm talking about driving through your neighborhood. And I am sure that if you were to really take a different look using your third eye and identify the route that you may have taken to work or taken to the gym, you can identify a few lots, a few places that have, because of the number of years you've been in that community, have not been utilized. And you can identify who may own it. Is it being utilized? Does it have any future plans? And potentially buy it while rates are low. And in doing so, can not only help to clean up your neighborhood, but to repurpose spaces in order to bring a more positive and more impactful opportunity to your communities. And you can be a for profit and do this, and you can be a nonprofit. You can collaborate as for profit and nonprofit community leaders together to do such things. You have the power. This is the time to identify and unearth resources that you overlooked, and to be the resource that in some instances in the past may have been overlooked. In doing so, you have the ability to create employment opportunities as well. There are many youth out here that Many people sit in boardrooms and town hall meetings complaining that they don't have a place to go. It doesn't matter where you are and what community you live. The reality is, there is a saying that goes, the youth of the village will burn the village down just to feel the warmth if they are excluded. And I'm paraphrasing, but that is an old African proverb, a Yoruba proverb that still rings true today. If our youth don't have a place to go, if there is a lacking of opportunities, if there isn't a intentional investment in said community, not just from the government, but from us, then we will lack the opportunities to provide our own creative ways to put our youth to work, to have them have something that they can be proud of, and to create opportunities where at one point in time there weren't any. Now, when we think about using this idea of real estate investing, and I say real estate investing very intentionally, not real estate purchase, but real estate investing to improve our local and global communities. It's important that you understand that an investment is something that has the ability not just to generate revenue, but to also inspire change. You see, for every person that is in our community, whether they're 5, 50, or some of our young people who are 100 years young, no matter what, whatever age group you fall in, the reality is the same in the sense that people will believe what they can do when they see it being done, when they can put their hands on it. I can just think about how many times my Facebook, I receive chimes on my Facebook with all of the excitement around not just the ushering in of the new administration, but how beautiful it was to see our former president, President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. The, I have pictures everywhere that I'm seeing everywhere. The reality is, for our young people, as well as our young people of every age, when they see change, they know that they can be that change. So when you are developing a garden in your community, and a person may have walked by that garden a year ago and saw that that garden was an empty lot with broken bottles and maybe drug paraphernalia, and you've transformed that space along with fellow community members, you have now uplifted and changed the narrative of what that space looks like. You have also created a paradigm shift for those who've never seen it before to know that that is possible. So you now have the ability to not only ask for the changes that you want to see from local government agencies, but you also have the ability to show what you are capable to do when you collaborate effectively. That's the difference between a purchase and an investment. You care for anything you invest in. You spend time with it. Industry leaders during uncertain times who have invested in real estate have found a level of stability that many businesses wish that they had. You see, not only have I now gotten an asset that I can leverage for collateral for my business, not only am I reached out to as a leader in the community to identify how we're going to shape that future of said community, but when we have been plagued with uncertain times, I am someone who has been identified as thinking outside the box. And that I is we. That is us. That is you. That is me. When you have been able to create creative ways, I have I call her a friend in my head. She's a colleague that I would say that I watch. Her name is Vanessa Braxton. And she is out of New York and has purchased multitudes of real estate. You can look her up. Black Mama Tea and Cafe. Amazing businesswoman. One of the things that she has learned is that because she makes teas, but she also has made vodka. She's also someone who is the first African American woman to own the supply chain for which she distills her own vodka. Okay. When you're an industry leader in uncertain times and you're someone who's been known to make that alcohol, we needed hand sanitizers. She was able to pivot her business. She was identified as an industry leader and then used her ability to change as well as pivot her business to provide a much needed service when we were not able to get shipments from out of the country. And so she was able to create, using her distillery, hand sanitizer. And and literally it's take notice all across the country and has been shipping it out all across the country. So that's another great example. Finally, before I turn the chair over to my capable brother here, I will share with you this. Leveraging your GPS. I love using acronyms and flipping them on their head, so to speak, in order to give us a different perspective on something that we're very familiar with. Many of us don't travel anywhere without GPS, and many of us will, like myself, I'll even use my GPS for places that I've gone regularly just to see how much time it's going to take me to get there. So when I think about GPS, knowing that it's the global positioning system, I want you to think about your GPS when it comes to land ownership. You see, in order to improve your global position, there are things that you, myself, us together as a community can do in order to make that happen. One, grow your global knowledge. You see, the things that are needed here, myself and my colleague Taya, we've traveled all across the world. We've actually sat 2 years ago in Kenya to find out that the needs that we have right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, are the same needs that they're looking to address in Kenya. Specifically, understanding how, not that we are different, but understanding how business needs are the same in different places will allow you to think outside the box and use the things that you know that you are great at in order to improve your position, looking elsewhere and finding out how you can find common threads across the globe to improve your business. Partner with experienced investors. I say this now more than ever. In a time where we have been seemingly forced into spaces of solitude, separated from our loved ones and our business friends and colleagues, here is the time where we have to be more intentional. Just as we have to, can't leave the house without my mask, got to make sure that I'm stepping 6 feet apart when I'm in the stores. We need to be intentional with how we partner and how we come together, how we engage one another. So when we're looking to do any type of investment, and no investment is too small, we need to make sure that we reach out to those who have done it before and say, hey, can you assist me? I have a question. What is it that we can do together that would be much better and more impactful together? And then lastly, sustainability of product or service. You see, that is another, I would even go so far as to say, is blessing in this pandemic. You see, COVID-19 is a virus, yes. But the one thing that we understand is that it has absolutely made us more acutely aware of how, in order for us to survive, we have to be sustainable. Our business model has to be stronger over time. Owning real estate, having different ways of being able to generate revenue. If I'm having a meeting in my room and I own the building and I'm able to extend that space to my fellow colleagues for and rent that space out, not only am I improving the viability of my business by getting my business more traction, but I'm also being able to provide a sustainable product that my community needs and a service that is going to be vital in our future. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Dorian.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, man. A little late here. Good afternoon, folks. I just want to thank Taya for having me on today, and thank you, Dr. V, for that outstanding presentation on wealth building, acquiring real estate for business. So I wanted to jump in here and talk a bit about how to get it done. So I'm, as president of On Point Partners, I'm big on community. I care about community. I care about Charlotte. I care about other markets as well as where we do business at. So let's talk a little bit about, for your business owners that already have a great established business, and really how to look at how to go in and acquire commercial real estate. Because in the end, that's what we're trying to do. And just understand, commercial real estate is anything that is greater than 4 rental units. So if you're talking apartments of any kind above 4 units, that is considered commercial real estate. And so let's talk a little bit about how to build wealth. And this is really the key in the end. You're in business to make money and build wealth. We know that. And so let's talk about this area of commercial real estate that has been an access for many years. We just didn't know how to access it. So what you'll understand when you research it is you'll find many laws concerning commercial real estate, accessing it, financing it, using investments came along back in the end of the 70s and 80s when Ronald Reagan was president. So the opportunity has always been there. It's just the knowledge that hadn't been out there, especially as it concerns our community. That's what we're talking here. So if you have this nice operating business now and you're doing well, some of you, not everybody, suffered through COVID. Some people shifted and made a lot of money in 2020. So no matter what, if you have a good operating business, here's where some opportunities for you to start. Don't worry about the rest of y'all. We're going to get to you as well. But the SBA 504 program and the SBA 7A program are great programs for when you have a stable operating businesses. And so I'll talk a little bit about what the 504 loan program is. It is for commercial real estate and equipment. So it is not for operations, but you can utilize this program to acquire 20 million in real estate. And plus, the minimum is 125,000. So as you know, Vanessa mentioned that there's a lot of land, there's buildings out there in our corridors that we can utilize this plan to put operating businesses in. And so let's think a little bit about this. If you're out leasing space, then the owner of that asset is who you're enriching. And so we want to teach you ways of how to utilize your business to acquire that property. And so the SBA 504 program is a great program to make that happen through. And so what happens is, here's the great thing about this program is you can actually purchase real estate and not occupy the whole space. As long as you occupy over 50% of the space, then you can use your business to acquire that space and lease the rest of the space out. So it makes for an excellent program to acquire real estate. And so typically, what you'll see is many businesses utilize it, especially if you're a franchise, but you can be a regular business that's operating well and utilize this program to acquire real estate. So let's talk about the SBA program. SBA 7A program. It is a program that is allowed for acquisition of real estate and operation costs, working capital, all of those things are included in that program. And so the key things about these programs is both of these programs only require that you have 10% down, 10% overall to acquire property and various parts of what you're looking to accomplish. So if you're looking to say borrow $1 million, I know that sounds like a lot, but you'll be surprised at what a good operating business can qualify. So 10% is definitely a number that you can look at needing to acquire property. Next slide. So I know that's the question. I know that's in the back of your head because that's the first question I get for people looking to buy commercial real estate. And that is how much money I need. So at the bottom, I said 10 to 20%. I said 10% because that's the bottom number that you're going to need. So what goes into maybe that 20%? If you're at a slightly higher risk or something concerning your business, well, the SBA will require that you put down more money. But here's what's interesting about this 10 to 20% cost is you can utilize incentives. It doesn't have to be your money. People always worry about having the money to do deals in commercial real estate. And the fact is you don't have to utilize your money. It can come from different companies, different investors. Dr. V mentioned earlier about the need to stop trying to do it on our own, to partner. There are many ways to accomplish this goal. So don't look at it as I can't do it, but look at it as how I can do it. But let's go left here a little bit. When I say left on the screen there, that's get your credit right first. And the second question I get is about credit. What does my credit score need to be at? So I'm gonna go a little deep in some of you all's living room and talk a little bit. If you're doing business and you're not focusing on getting your credit right, then that's the first problem. The first problem is to start. If you start, you don't have to worry about the score because you're working towards getting it better. And the truth is, the banks, SBA, always will tell you it depends. They will never give you a credit score because it's more than just your credit. It's more than just the money. What it really is what does your situation look like as a whole? Do you have a great idea? Is your business operating well? And so the truth is, it's a lot of moving pieces to anything in business, including acquiring commercial real estate. So keep that in mind. But first, and I will implore you from someone that has been there, I know what bad credit is like. I know what happens when you operate a business that goes bad and creates bad credit on personal and business. But guess what? Both of them can be rebuilt. And so I have all confidence in you. But first and foremost, so I'm imploring you, if you're sitting out there looking for a way to buy this or get this, and you have no focus on your personal credit, that's where you need to start at. That's where success begins in taking care of the problems you're covering up. So I just had to go into your living room real quick. So let's talk a little bit about nonprofits, and then we'll get to some overall things on commercial real estate. Nonprofits, and I was just talking about this early before this call, is you have to look at utilizing whether you have a profit or a nonprofit in purchasing real estate. Everyone knows in this country we have one big major problem. Well, actually two, but the one big major problem we have is housing. And it doesn't matter where I go or what nonprofit I work with. This is, no matter what you do, you should have a housing component to your program, meaning that should be one of your focuses, one of your plans for your nonprofit. Of course, it needs to be in your bylaws, so put it in there. But nonprofits, and Dr. V mentioned it earlier, nonprofits are an excellent way to acquire commercial real estate. It helps the community. She spoke about that early, but it also helps the homelessness problem or people that just need some housing. I mean, the truth is, in a lot of our areas we live in, that there's tons of opportunities, and the people that's taking advantage of those opportunities are not us. But guess what? That's not their fault. It's our fault for failing to take advantage of the opportunity. So if you have a nonprofit, and in my opinion, and other people agree, if you are a for-profit, you should have a nonprofit. Utilize your for-profit and nonprofit to take care of some of the problems in the neighborhood. Of course, you can go in many corridors in the city and understand that there are not only a lot of opportunities, but a lot of problems. And we as business owners should be the ones solving those problems. So, but most important here, the reason why you're doing it as a nonprofit is self-sustainment through investment. Many of the nonprofits are constantly going for grants and begging corporations for money. What if you could stabilize your nonprofit by having an income stream off of providing houses, or providing housing? Of course, it can be done. It very easily can be done. So we definitely can talk about how to get you to that goal. So, and the second one is, as I said, limiting total dependence on funders. You know, the revenue in a nonprofit is so important. Income in a nonprofit is so important. So you can limit the need to focus solely on funders by having you or having your company as doing something like housing or strip center or something like that. There are ways to accomplish goals where you're able to provide some funds back into your nonprofit. And as I said before, you solve a need for housing. One of the most critical problems we have today in the United States is housing. And so we're sleeping on the opportunity to provide others with housing, and similarly as a nonprofit, provide revenue. So you want to know where to find properties. Well, they're all around you. I'm willing to bet, as I know most people, I do coach commercial real estate. I mentor people all over the country. And what I do know, there are opportunities on daily drives. You can't miss them. They're there. It's those properties where you see those signs at, or that dilapidated property that you wondering who owned it, but you fail to research it and find out who does. It's a opportunity. Opportunity is everywhere. And Dr. V said it's that third eye. You know, that third eye is that eye that you see just riding by in the neighborhood and you see an opportunity, plenty of them. I know for a fact because I call on them every day. I don't drive without seeing something and seeing an opportunity. So they're everywhere. So, but you want to know how to find them, but you need help. So definitely contact me. I have a commercial real estate brokerage firm. We consult and broker, but we'll get you a broker that's on it. I have a team that will find you anything you need for your business. The key part of what I do as well is I help you vision. You know, I'm a consultant for a reason. I help you bring out the vision in you for your project. So a commercial real estate broker definitely is a requirement. And keep in mind that not all brokers are commercial real estate brokers. There are certain things that you need to know. You got to have some experience. And I can tell you, and let me drop a little nugget for those folks that are leasing projects. And it might step on a few toes out there. But the most important thing for leasing real estate is not getting the property itself. The most important thing is that lease that you sign. So if you're not acquiring property or leasing property and getting an attorney to look at your lease, then you're getting yourself into a problem. And I'm willing to bet that somebody on this call is in a problem with their lease now, because it just is. The problem doesn't happen until there's a business problem. So just wanted to drop that quick nugget. But commercial real estate broker is the way to go about finding what you need. And not all commercial real estate brokers are created equal. So here we are. Consider transitioning corridors. So we're here in Charlotte. I can name a few. You're in Jacksonville, Florida. I can name a few there, but here it might be Beatties Ford corridor, which represents an excellent opportunity. It's a few others that, as you can see, based on what's happening, you know, there's some ground being lost. So some neighborhoods that didn't seem like an opportunity 6 years ago to you, or it seemed like an opportunity, but you wasn't on first mover status, it's still there. You may not can get into those neighborhoods now because you know that the investment has already happened, and what was 100 and 200,000 now is at $1 million. So I'd implore you to just move forward in the opportunities that are out there. There are still opportunities out there. But guess what? Charlotte is one of the best markets to invest in no matter what. Charlotte did not go down as far as the rest of the country when as it came to the 2007 and 2008 financial problems that we had in the United States. So you're in a great place. So I implore you to jump in now, don't wait. So whether you got a for-profit or nonprofit, do it. But focus on those transitioning corridors. After all, that's where the opportunities is. Just don't miss it. So also consider alternate locations. Look, some folks don't like the country. I understand you want to be where all the energy is in Charlotte. You want to be right close to uptown, at least pre-COVID. That's where you wanted to be. But look, all of these outlying counties are opportunities. Or I don't want to say counties too much. Let's just say Mecklenburg County, but some of the outlying cities are opportunities too as well. They have opportunity zones as properties, properties in opportunity zones, all of those things that are out there. So if you may not be in a position to afford something within Charlotte proper, look at some of the outlying places for opportunity to develop. Many of you already live in those places. Why not invest in those locations? the need to build or the desire to build wealth is not limited to one place where you think opportunity is. Opportunity is everywhere. So I can guarantee you that, because next week this time I will be in Phoenix on a major development, community development, 250 acres. They have the same problem that is Phoenix, Arizona, as the problem is here in Charlotte or Jacksonville or Orlando or Atlanta. So opportunity is where? Is everywhere. So don't feel like you're limited anywhere. You know, the opportunity is right wherever you're at. So take advantage of it. And so feel free to jump in and ask questions. I wanted to encourage that as well. So let's talk a little bit about growing global in theory and in practice. So one great opportunity I had last, in fact, December 2020, I had the opportunity to go on a missions trip to Tanzania, Africa. And I tell you, it's like Dr. V said, there's opportunity everywhere. I had a chance to meet with some local or regional leaders that form a head of transportation there, and was able to connect and understand the needs in some global, one global country, which is Tanzania. And it's opportunity everywhere. The continent of Africa needs your skills. So don't be afraid to stretch, jump out and sell whatever it is, sell whatever product you have, or take advantage of opportunities to invest. But I would implore you, though, to make sure your business is stable here in the United States before you reach out and feel like you need to go do business. I know it sounds good. I understand. I feel a need too as well to help the continent of Africa, but you have to take care of home first. So any questions you have around commercial real estate, feel free to jump in the chat box there and ask, as well as you'll see Dr. V and I's information here coming up on the screen. And so thank you, Dr. V, for your excellent presentation, and I look forward to speaking with you all.
Well, I will also say this, Dorian. First of all, thank you for your great presentation, because everyone wants to know the why, but they want to know the how as well. You know, one without the other doesn't really help much. And I will say this in this slide, just as my brother shared, when we look at how you grow globally, the thing to understand around business is that looking at ways when you're attempting to figure out how it is that you would invest or where you would start, look at your business love and think about what we call the supply chain. Dorian knows this quite well. Every business has a supply chain, has a cycle of things that are a link in the chain to making your business successful. The businesses that have created generational wealth have done two things. One, they have controlled the supply chain. They are in the marketing. They are in the manufacturing. They are in the distribution. They are in the service. They keep, if you think about organizations like Amazon has literally identified different parts of their supply chain and attempted to take over in those areas so that they had control over stabilizing their business, including in situations that are unanticipated, like a pandemic. When you think about that, you should also think about the global aspects of that, because there are a number of products, cars, from cars, as far as manufacturing plants that are no longer here. There are plenty of businesses that have been put to a screeching halt or slowed down tremendously because of not being able to ship and distribute things to different countries, including the United States. So when you think about how it is that you can take the next step in your business and building that that level of expertise around real estate, think about that. The 7 streams of income that we hear about every year around New Year's that we want to make a resolution to have, please understand the way that that's most effective is identifying streams of income, not that are scattered all over the place, but are all relatively connected to your nest, and understanding how I can make money from different aspects of areas that I'm already in. That's the key, so that you're not expending energies in different directions.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll say one quote that I want to share with you all. 90% of millionaires that have become millionaires have gone and become millionaires through owning real estate. And just so you know, the top 2 owners of all the property in the United States of real estate are in industries that have nothing to do on the surface with real estate. Ted Turner is number 2. He owns over 2 million pieces of 2 million acres. And number 1 is another gentleman, John Smith, and both of them are actually in telecommunications. So if that should give you an idea of how important it is and how that creates generational wealth, that's another nugget for you all. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Dr. V and Dorian. I'm so proud of what you presented, and I'm monitoring what's happening over in our thread on Facebook, and people are very excited and grateful for the information that you've shared. And I know that they will do great things with that. So thank you for sharing again. I just want to do a little recap. There were a few things that you all said that I want to make sure people didn't miss. And Vanessa, you said investment is something that you do that generates revenue and inspires change. And I didn't want people to miss that. That's a really a good golden nugget. Partnering with experienced investors. Dorian, you brought that to the table. And I just want to remind people that Dorian is a certified commercial investor. This is what he does in his business all day, every day. Certainly, if you need his help, I want you to reach out to him. And then the other thing is just having a housing component as part of your plan and your growth strategy. It's important for every for-profit to also have a nonprofit arm. It's important for us to learn culturally. And I know that this is tough because we've been taught not to do so, but we have to understand that we are the original owners of wealth. And we have to understand how important it is to work together and to be able to build and have collective economics. So do not be afraid to partner. Do not be afraid to collaborate. This is how we do it. This is how we win. I also saw a message, I think it was from Marlon in the live stream about forming real estate investment trusts. And I don't know if you might cover that a little bit, Dorian, what that actually is. I think we covered that. And then I would love for each of you, Vanessa and Dorian, to just share maybe your one strategy on, we talked about where you can see these different properties or pieces of land, but what tool do you use to understand how much it costs? Who do you know who to contact? And all of those things. Is it the courthouse? Is it contacting someone like Dorian? Let's cover those and give people a little bit more depth on that. And then we'll get ready to close out for the day.
Well, I'll start on the investment fund side of it. Definitely, we can start an investment fund. That's not terribly difficult to do. Guess why? Because you have to hire a professional. You hire an attorney that's versed in securities and make sure it's done right. So it's a matter of coming together and doing it. So it quite easily can be done. It's a cost to it, but the cost is nothing compared to the risk of doing it without a professional. So it absolutely can be done. We can do it and come together and make it happen. And yes, you definitely want to, in order to find more about commercial real estate properties, there's really 2 sides we have to always be aware of. Is you want to have the right professional helping you, because it's not just acquiring the property. You got to make sure the property you acquire works for your business. And so if you're retail, you're a retailer, well, are you in a good location for retail? Not every location is good. Y'all seen these businesses that seem to be behind another building, and you're trying to find out, they gave you an address and you had to walk through somebody's front yard to get to the business. Well, you don't want that. So as the same, if you're having manufacturing building, can you actually manufacture in that building? So if you got a business that manufactures, it doesn't mean that you can operate that business in that building. So all of those things are important reasons to hire a professional to do it.
Thank you, Dorian. Vanessa?
Yes, I would say also there are, I actually do uh, advising and consulting, and as the first leg in helping to vision for what it is that you need for your business, and how it connects, how a piece of real estate can connect for the uses of your business. When you're going through, I actually live, work, and play on the Northwest Corridor. So that's home, graduated from Smith. So it's been home for a very long time. Uh, um, the, the, the reality is when we're looking at some of these lots, another avenue for you to identify properties. One of the things that Dorian mentioned is, as well as I mentioned, having properties that may, of course, have more value than what it is that they would have as a cost. So when you're looking at properties, you can look at potentially foreclosures, specifically even I definitely have benefited from identifying tax foreclosures, and looking into how it is that you can find some of these jewels that are in the community that may have, and it really does provide a mutual benefit. Those who are in difficult situations, that did not have the money or other resources, or know exactly what to do with a property that fell on hard times, you have the ability to help them. And you also have the ability to strengthen your neighborhood and your community. We have right now, I would say, approximately in this county alone, approximately 3,000 properties that are on a tax foreclosure, that are in tax foreclosure. So it's something to definitely consider, and you can reach out to myself as well as Dorian, and different unique ways on how to find some of these properties that are out there. Also, never forget, even though we may have ways that you not have not heard of, you have ways that you have not thought of that you actually use every day. Many of us, one of the greatest resource that we have is our relationship building. Our sincerity and our authenticity in our communities is second to none. So when you connect with people, if you think about the neighborhoods that you live in or grew up in, your family members may be vested in those communities. Know if someone has passed, know if someone has had hard times and are in financial trouble. Do not be afraid to connect with those individuals to see what it is that you can do to help, because what helps them also helps you. So, if there is a lot that's nearby, or a house that's been vacant, or a property that's abandoned in your community, that property, being identifying the owner of that property and reaching out to see if you would be able to purchase it and revitalizing that property absolutely takes the blight out of your neighborhood, instead of waiting for someone else to do it, and doing it as a collective partnership and finding resources to be able to do that. That is, that's the benefit for being able to really be the change that you.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
and
Dorian.
yeah, I wanted to add too. There's a reason why you have a God-given vision. So many people sleep on their ideas, and so you're sitting there, you're sitting here listening to us. But the fact that you have an idea, we don't have all the answers, but we certainly can take your vision and at least lead you to success. So don't ever sleep on anything that God has given you as a vision to do or direction to go. That building that you pass by, that you see, that you're dreaming about every day, just because somebody's in it doesn't mean that it ain't yours in the future. So keep that in mind.
That's what I'm talking about, Dorian. And I hope that
Yes.
you all haven't missed all of the very insightful spiritual guidance that has been given to you today within this session. Use your intuition, use your third eye. Definitely follow what you know your purpose is here to make sure that you're able to give back. And what we really want for you is to have generational wealth. We want you to create legacy. And so this group is here and we are committed to making sure you have the resources to have that in place for yourself and for your family. We certainly hope you had an amazing time with us today. We're excited you joined us for our very first networking session of the year. We hope that you will join us back here again on February the 11th at 6 p.m. We will have Alicia Brooks and Roland Udenze sharing developing your global business presence. So similar to what we talked about today, we want to help you understanding what's your branding supposed to look like? How do you develop those relationships in other countries to even know what those contracts might look like? And Roland has a lot of insight around that. Alicia's going to bring you some insight from the branding perspective, and we're going to rock it out again right here on the 11th. After that, we'll have our international boot camp that will not be live streamed, but you can register for it. We'll have registration up for that in the next couple of weeks. And so we are just once again grateful. Thank you for being here with us. If you have questions, please email me, taya@divinityaffairs.com, TYA@divinityaffairs.com. If you have further questions and want to get started with some of these items we talked about today in real estate, also send us messages about that, because if there are enough people registered, we'll do a deeper dive into this. We'll maybe do a master class, and then we'll also develop some further insight around developing a real estate investment trust if people are serious about it. We're here to help. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you soon.